Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to SME Forum. And today we have a really exciting, I don't know, maybe some of you find writing exciting, some of you might not want to do it, but we have a very exciting topic. At least for me, it's pretty exciting. Is it exciting for you?
Yes, it is.
Yes? Okay, you have anything to say first, Alvin?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. I'd like to greet our friends.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Nothing
Our
else?
viewers are our friends. Yeah,
Right,
this
right,
is an
right.
exciting topic, and this is one of the top 10 business trends.
Yes, we're running down
Part
the
of
top
your
10
prediction, yeah.
business trends that we predicted for this year, right? Yeah, and it's freelance writing is actually one of them. Okay, but is it easy to get into freelance writing? Is it actually is it hard? What do you need to be to become a freelance writer? And to answer those questions and more, we have one of the founders.
Yes.
Yes, one of the founders of WritersBlockPhilippines.com. No, just Writers Block Philippines, right? Miss Anna Sak.
Hi, good morning, Boom. Good morning, Alvin. Thank you for having me. And I'm really excited about you saying or opening the topic with, about writing being something interesting to people. Well, for us at Writer's Block, and I think I can speak for my two other partners, writing is a passion for us. It's something that we personally wake up knowing that we're going to do something we love to do.
Oh, okay.
What a start, huh?
Yeah, wow. Passion,
start.
right? This is a passion. Okay. I'd just like to ask, I'd like to kick it off. Tell me, first of all, what is Writer's Block about?
Okay, Writers Block Philippines is a group of three freelance writers. The three of us met at a class where we also know Alvin, and we kind of gravitated towards each other because we had the same questions. Hey, what did you do when this publication folded up? Or are you writing for this person? Trends, how to get published even more, breaking into other media. So we found out that the three of us collectively had varied experiences that when you put them together, it becomes some sort of powerhouse in terms of knowledge and networking. And then later on we said, these are the things that we're always asked by friends. I want to be published. How do I start, etc. So we started Writers Block Philippines. Among the many objectives, the core objectives are really to build a writing community. We're jealous of the photographers and the divers who do it all the time. They meet and have networking nights or what have you.
Writing community.
Exactly. The ones that we have now are they might be a little limiting because they're literary or they're by invitation only. So we wanted to open something for the aspiring writers and open that kind of community. That community would mean that kind of community engagement that we like to speak about or promote is built on educating writers about what to write. Not even how to look for interesting stories, how to market yourself.
That's very important.
Yes, because we're very big on writing can be a career. It's not a gig one after the other. It's not a racket. It can actually be a career. So that goes hand in hand. With that objective goes professionalizing also the industry. So we talk a little bit about ethics also in our workshops, etc. And we want to be able to equip writers with the knowledge, the foundation to really make writing a career. More than anything else. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I appreciate that because, like I told you earlier before the show started, there is no organization, there is no group that actually puts writers together and improves their skill. I am a freelance writer myself online, but there is no group, and suddenly there are people coming in pretending to be writers, right? Well, wait, before we discuss that, oh no, we were going to rant all day, but before we talk about that, let's go back a little. Let's talk about you before Writers Block Philippines. What did you do?
I like to tell the story a lot because I took a very roundabout way of becoming a writer. I'm a journalist by education, but when I became a journalist by profession, it took me a number of years. I was too scared about what my mother told me. I would never make money as a writer, and I said, "Oh my God, I know." And to me, that means, "Oh my God, I'll forever be living at home, right? I'll never be able to move out." I graduated with a journalism degree, but I went into advertising and then banking. My last position was assistant vice president at a bank. I was heading business development.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So, but the whole time, about maybe 5 years ago, I started writing as a hobby, and I really. It's something that you can't ignore in you, I think. It's kind of hardwired in you to write, and when you do something like banking, which is more structural and a little more
Yeah.
boxed,
All right.
your creative spirit will really want to find an avenue to get out
to
and
get out,
express
yeah.
itself. So
Tell
I
me
did
about
that. And I found other opportunities along the way until it became a viable option to leave the corporate world.
Wow. Okay. Wow, you have a really nice story there. Yeah, we should publish that. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, but before anything else, let's tell the viewers where to call, just in case, or send text messages just in case. If you have questions or anything, comments that you'd like to send, or a text message, you can do that through this number here below. Okay, and it's 0932 217 5759. Of course, make sure your questions are relevant. No, it's okay. If you just want to say hi, go ahead. All right,
State your name
yeah, please.
and location.
Exactly. State your name and location.
So we could acknowledge you. Right.
All right. Okay. So, Alvin, you have
Yeah, lunch. Another question. Well, I hate to be negative, but let's get this out of the way first. What are the drawbacks of being a freelance writer?
Well,
The tough
number
parts,
one
yeah.
is really managing cash flow. At the start, that's why we talk about it in a way that it's a business. So entrepreneurs out there will tell you that for the first, a year and a half
Yeah.
or so, you may not...
maybe even 3.
Yeah, maybe 3. You may not expect to earn a lot of money. So that is really the biggest drawback, managing cash flow.
Oh.
So it's just like any other business. You have to run it in that way. You have to look for diverse sources of income or variety of sources of income to keep yourself afloat. Secondly, it's the professionalism really of the industry. Depends on who you're speaking to, but sometimes the word freelance writer is like, oh, do you really work? So,
Yeah,
you know,
you
you
get
must
that
have a
too,
lot
eh?
of free time. Which brings me to the third kind of downside. Every day it's a work day for you.
Yeah.
So, you know, the concept of you having more free time when you go into freelance writing might not be the proper mind frame, because it when it gets down to it, if you have a project coming up, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna do it, and that's also why it's very important that you have to love what you do.
Oh, but that's not just true for writing.
That's-
That's true
that's
for
true.
all freelancers.
Yes.
What people probably don't know is that we freelancers, and many freelancers out there, actually work twice as much
Yeah.
as regular employees, because we have to find the clients, we have to book them, we have
Yes.
to create our stuff,
Yes.
right? We have to actually give if you're into training, you actually have to give training, you actually have to do the writing, and the moment you stop moving, you stop earning.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of work ethic that we also want to talk about. People have sometimes a very romantic notion of being a writer. You know, like we spend our days on the beach and writing in our notebooks our random
when
thoughts.
you're probably famous, you can do
I
that.
would love to do that someday. But the reality of it is, you're absolutely right. Boom, Alvin. You have to look for your clients. You have to look for your jobs, and when they come, you're gonna have to write them as fast as you can.
Yes.
You will be working most of the time probably on your own. Unlike if you worked in a corporate office, you would
Yeah.
have a staff to help you do administrative things. So that kind of adds to the workload as well.
Yeah, and she brought up something also. One of the challenges was that the industry. Now it's time to rant, right? Yeah. I mentioned a while ago that there are writers out there that don't actually fit the bill. They can't write to save their lives, but they pretend they present themselves out as writers. And lately, this has become a very dangerous trend, and it's actually yeah, because it brings down our professional fees. They can offer themselves at low prices, but the quality is really bad. How do you feel about that?
I actually think that that's going to be a trend across a number of industries and not just writing. But you are right. There are needs, for example, if you're writing for SEO purposes, there are needs there that will, and requirements that will defy grammatical and, grammatical
Defy is a
rules
good word.
and structural composition rules that we may have grown up with or may have been trained to do. But I think that's a trend that you're going to see across the other industries to differentiate yourself from that market. You can always use it as a source of income, right? You will have to also aspire to reach some level of professionalism. How can you tell when the person in front of you is a professional writer? We always tell the workshop participants, number one, you have to have an online portfolio. Okay, that already tells the would-be client or the would-be editor that, oh, this person can write this way. You've had some work published. This is the depth and the width of your writing capacity. So that already gives some kind of indication. We're also very big on you have to be professional. You have to have a business card when you present to someone. When we meet a potential client, we go through a credentials presentation. You don't just come there and say, okay, what's the requirement? Yeah. You treat freelance writing as a business, as you would a business. I think that's where our corporate background comes into handy, or comes in handy a lot, because we treat it as a business, our own business. We're writers / entrepreneurs in that sense, and it brings a whole different dimension into not just your creativity, which is sometimes I think what a lot of people are very fascinated with, and that's great if you want to get started into writing, sure. But to take you into the long run, if you're after longevity, long-term plans, really building a career, that's going to take business acumen on top of the writing.
Wow. Okay. But yeah, I agree totally. I agree totally, 100%. But there are different types of writing, right?
Yes.
It's not all creative.
Yes.
There is what we call technical writing,
Yes.
which is emotionless writing. So yeah, right. And it's all in the passive voice, everything. So, do you actually get into that market as well?
Okay, the three of us, I'll talk a little bit about our specific interests. So my other partner is Nina Tirol Zalshita. She's her area of expertise are focused on change making, and she writes a lot about arts and culture. So that's very much what she's into.
Creative stuff.
Yes, and she's the one among the three who has brought in, for example, corporate clients that we have serviced, and that requires a different discipline as well. Maybe not so hardcore technical writing. So it really depends on what they need. But we have to be ready to write anything from annual reports, sustainability reports, to advertorials. So that runs a whole spectrum. Nika Sartu is our other partner. She has been freelancing full-time for the last 5 years. She's actually a role model when it comes to building a career out of writing. And Nika focuses on on travel and food writing. Okay, very lifestyle. Okay, and my area of interest is sexual health rights and women's issues. So I bring that to women's magazines, online networks like Female Network, and also for the foreign wires.
Sexual health.
You got stuck in those times.
Yeah, we got stuck in that.
Sexual. No, I just heard the S word and the.
But she used to be a columnist
for.
Oh yes, I used to be a columnist for a magazine called Manual. It was a men's magazine, and I think they folded up about 2, 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Not because of you, of course.
No. I hope not. Maybe they cushioned me from that. But I used to write a column there called Bitching. And yes, it was all about dating and relationships. And I was getting a lot of serious questions about sexual health. Where do I go for this? Which doctor should I see for this? I was like, wow, these are very serious questions. And I was writing about fun stuff, flipping in and out of bed and all the fun stuff. And I said, okay, if they're asking me, someone who has, I was just writing from a very fun standpoint, who has no credentials or background in writing about these things. That's an indication of a problem. Maybe we don't know who to ask. So I started devoting a lot of my time to researching more on sexual health, on HIV and AIDS awareness.
And you give seminars for that too.
Yes,
right?
I do.
But
That's different from writer's block.
yeah, but writer's block. I think Alvin,
Yeah.
they have something on the table right now.
Yeah, so how does one get started to be a freelance writer? So
Okay.
they go to Writer's Block Philippines. or
Yes,
something.
part of that, the whole advocacy of building the writing community is to conduct regular workshops. Okay, so we have a workshop called Jumpstart Your Freelance Writing Career. No bones about it, right? Jumpstart that freelance writing career.
Oh, that's your workshop.
Yes,
Mhm.
it's coming up on Feb 5 and 12 at Enduran Extension.
Yeah, I think we have a poster for that, Direk. Could we upload that poster? We'll show it again later also. Feb
Yes,
5
yes,
and
yes.
Feb
12.
Oh,
12.
it's a 2-day
Yes,
workshop.
There.
it's a 2-day workshop.
Jumpstart your freelance writing career. There you go, right? There are numbers there you can call. Later we'll show that again, but I think the most important part there is writersblockphilippines.com.
Yeah, details
Yes.
are on the
the,
website.
the details are there on the website. Okay, so we're about to
Go on a break.
yeah, we're about to go on a break. Actually, just in a few minutes we'll be going on a break. But let's get to, we were talking about the challenges of being a writer. What about the rewards?
Well, those are aplenty. I have, the three of us have been brought to so many different places, literally and figuratively, because of the many opportunities that writing gives us. Nina, for example, she got a scholarship to the European Journalism Institute in Prague last year. So she was there, and it's also because of what you write. Last year I attended a conference on maternal health in Washington, so that was on a media scholarship. We've gotten a number of grants to write the things that are dear to us, whether it's maternal health in the Ifugao region or HIV down in Angeles. And it's amazing the things that you learn. The people that you'll meet, from heads of state to people on the street, and it's that whole spectrum, and it teaches you a lot about yourself and about the humanity of each person.
And the sins of humanity as
yes,
well.
yes. I'm not trying to glorify that, because you see the whole thing.
Yes.
You'll see the whole thing, really. And it's such a learning experience. Everything is new. There's no day is like yesterday, or no day will be like tomorrow. So I love that part. It's really just, but also we love to do.
Okay. I had a question in mind and I forgot.
Okay.
Maybe you have
It'll
one.
come back, yeah. So how does one get, other than going to the workshop, we'd like to squeeze some information out.
Right.
So
Go ahead.
can you give us free
Sure.
coaching? How does one really get started? What's the first thing
Okay.
a person has to do to get started in
Yeah,
freelance
to
writing?
become a good writer.
Okay, first you can't ignore the fundamentals, which is really writing. Okay, so you have to improve your writing skills for publication.
All right.
Okay, so a lot of us
what
blog.
does that mean?
A lot of us blog, right?
yeah.
But that's a lot of personal feelings, me.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if you're going to write that piece for a publication, you're always going to have to answer the question of the reader, which is, what's in it for me?
Oh,
So
okay.
what if I read this?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
That's a good
that's
point.
the difference between blogging about yourself, ranting, raving, whatever, to writing for an actual publication. Improve your skills. How do you do that? First, go back to reading a lot. You have to read a lot. I don't know how a person who doesn't like to read can be a very good writer, because you pick up, number one,
Yeah.
grammar.
Exactly.
Okay, you pick up figures of speech.
Yes,
You-
vocabulary.
Vocabulary.
Right.
And that's exactly something that you also have to build. You have to build your own vocabulary. And that will help you. Reading also helps you define your own writing voice. When you think about what you like to read, that's most likely similar to the way you would want to write.
Right, yeah.
And it's also very similar to the writing voice that you would want to build. That all goes back to building your byline. That's why it's very important to build, to have a distinct writing voice.
But we shouldn't limit ourselves to what we like to read. We should read other books from other genres.
Yes,
Yes,
because you
like
need
that.
to experiment. Your writing
So
voice
I
will
don't
change.
stick to comic books. Right. Okay.
And also, you have to network. Okay, once you've gotten the fundamentals down, right, you have to network.
Okay.
Sometimes getting published is also a matter of who you know.
Okay, so we'll continue this.
Yeah, we'll leave you hanging.
Yeah, we'll leave you hanging because she still has to answer the question after this break. Don't touch that dial. And we're back here in SME Forum. Oh, wait, what was that? That was music, right?
Phone-in question.
Right, a phone-in question. I don't know. All right, so we left you with a hanging topic, actually, not just a hanging question. All right, so what do you do to improve your writing skills or to develop them? And you were saying, you started by saying that you have to read.
Yeah.
You have to read a lot, right? What else do you have to do?
We talked about reading, really practicing writing.
Uh-huh.
So whether it's a blog, whether it's a journal, write.
Just write.
Yes, just write. Sometimes we're so obsessed with, I don't know what to write. Put your pen to paper, or if you're more comfortable,
Yes.
start, tapping that keyboard. Just write something. And then we talked also about networking because, after you write something, it's important to get it out,
Yeah.
to get it published. And to do that, you have to know the right people, you have to network. Networking also helps you in the sense that you have ideas for new stories. You have to have a nose for that. We call it that. You have to have a nose for a story. When somebody tells you something, you have to think, may storya ba dyan? Or is
Yeah,
there
yeah.
a deeper meaning that you can actually write about? And then you have to know the target audience that you're speaking for. I write about sexual health. So if I write about it for a women's magazine, it'll naturally take on a different spin from an article on the same topic that I would write for the Foreign Wires. So you have to know also those different nuances. You have to know your topic well.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you mentioned earlier that you just have to write. You just put your paper down or your keyboard. Well, nobody uses paper anymore. Okay, put your keyboard down and start typing, right? That advice was actually given to me a long time ago.
And it's still true.
Very long time ago, and I have not regretted following it.
Yes, and I think now it's more difficult because we have so many diversions.
Yes.
I, for one, I have to confess, when I'm I would rather write on paper because it forces me to focus. When I'm online, there's somebody on Facebook. I'm
You're
online
right,
with
you're
Twitter.
actually right.
This is interesting. What's this? So,
Well, you could take the internet off.
yeah, that you're right. It's just too tempting.
Yeah.
So, I have very low EQ. But, so I would rather just write on paper. It really depends on what your personal style is. The important thing is to start writing.
Yes.
Sometimes the biggest hindrance to actually writing is ourselves. Thinking that, we have nothing to write. Whatever we have to say is not interesting. But it is. It can be.
There are people I know who can actually put up a very decent conversation, let's say in English. Okay. But when you ask them to write something, all the mistakes start coming out. Okay, so it's important to start writing not only because you want to write, but to see also where you stand
Yes.
in terms of writing.
Yes. And then once you start writing, have someone read what you wrote.
Yes, okay, have
When
someone
you
read it.
yes, when we do our workshops, we do a critique portion where after the first day, the participants go home with homework, and they're supposed to write a magazine pitch to a would-be editor. A pitch is like the freelancer's audition. Okay, it's your story idea that you need to present to an editor, and the editor will like it or not and say that, okay, we like it, go ahead and write the rest of your story. So it's very important to be able to capture the interest of the editor with your story angle, and number two, be able to really concisely summarize what it is that you want to say, just enough for your editor to say, yeah, this is a good story, let's run with it. So what we do at the workshop is we have the participants read it out loud. That also helps. When you write something, have somebody else read it. I know, what does it sound like? Does it make sense? Did you like it? Did it strike a chord in you?
Does it sound natural?
Yes, does it sound natural? Secondly, read it out loud.
All right.
Okay, that'll give you an idea of what you were saying.
Yeah.
That can you translate your words, your audio, your verbal words onto words on paper?
Yes.
So that's also a good segue or good practice. We teach that as well in the writing workshop.
Yeah, and if you want to sell something, I just have a tip for those who want to sell something. Adjectives are very important. Yes, adjectives and adverbs, they're very
Yes.
important. Very, very
Yes.
important.
Action words. Those are action words, or those are color words.
Yeah,
right?
they act words that describe
Yes.
certain thing, right? So Now, well, if they don't know what an adjective is, they're probably not getting into writing. All right. Okay, so how about grammar? I mean, this is my pet peeve.
Our favorite topic.
Yes, my pet peeve is grammar, and I've seen a lot of writers pretending writers come out and say, like, I've got a great piece of work, and then you count like in every sentence 2 or 3 errors, especially in prepositions. How important is that? I mean,
It's very important. That's basic. I always like to cite the example that, you know, one preposition can change the entire meaning of what you want to say. I can tell Alvin, let me get back to you on that. That's different from Alvin, let me get back at you for that.
oh, get back
Oh,
at
yeah,
you, right,
you know?
right. That's a different way, right?
It changes the entire meaning. So
Two
it,
letters could change the meaning.
Yeah, right.
it's very important. We usually suggest staples. So staple books, meaning like Strunk and Wyatt.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's reference material.
Yes, as reference materials. You also have to build on reference materials. We use the Chicago Manual of Style and the New York Times Manual of Style also when we do editing.
And it's not. It's. You said earlier it's important to show them your work, right? To show somebody else your work.
Yes.
It's not just anybody, right? But somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Somebody who at least knows grammar.
At least knows grammar,
Yes.
right? Yes.
Sometimes you need to take it step by step. I've found, and I also share this observation when before I started to write, it was very embarrassing to show my
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
It's so intimidating. It's just very embarrassing.
To subject yourself to critiques.
Yes, and to know that, oh my God, it's like having another person have a peek inside your mind. So find someone first that you can trust. You know, if you take it step by step. Are you comfortable with another person reading what you're feeling,
Yeah.
or reading what's going on inside your mind? And then after that, okay, you're comfortable with that level. Bring it to someone who is a kind of a grammar fanatic.
Yeah.
And then test it out on grammar also.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because you'll never know.
Yes.
Yes.
Because we're not. Yeah, we don't usually.
This is our second language, to be honest. Yeah.
Yes. Everybody can speak English, or 98% of the country can speak English, but I'm not sure about the percentage that can speak it accurately enough to write
Yeah.
in English.
Yeah.
But where do you find people who can actually give you a tip about grammar? I mean, do they have to go to you directly, or
Well,
then you'll have the whole country going to you?
yeah, but we teach that, we go into that in the workshop. But in terms of grammar, and semantics and the
You have to get a course, I think.
yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I think,
if
because that's
you're
a
weak
total
at that,
different
if you're weak at that,
discipline
yeah.
altogether. Yeah, it's a totally different discipline altogether.
Okay, so and to practice that also, I'll just make a plug here. You can actually go to a Toastmasters club. Yeah, I mean, it's good to learn,
Yeah.
but where are you going to practice after you learn that course? Toastmasters is a great way to practice.
I've heard about them. And I read about one of the members submitted something to us for publishing. I thought it was very interesting. It's like you use public speaking, yes?
Yeah, it's public
Yeah.
speaking.
That's excellent training, because there you have to write it, then you have to really deliver whatever you wrote.
Yeah, but we'll not get into that. We'll talk about that afterwards.
Okay.
There's a whole lot we can talk about later about Toastmasters. Okay, but I've heard that, well, and I've learned eventually that there's a process to writing. There's a process. You don't go in, dive, and bam. So can you tell me just a little bit, because there are many different processes, maybe just a tidbit about the process of writing, let's say, a creative article. Or
Yeah, this is our whole workshop already.
No, just tidbits, just, is there a format or something?
One personal method that works for me a lot is to write an outline.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so to write an outline that provides you a lot of structure. It will also tell you what you need in terms of, okay, as a journalist, you have to have an objective presentation of the facts. So it'll give you an idea of who you need to interview and what other statistics you need to look for. Some people, they call it, they just call it verbal diarrhea. They just put everything down there and then
verbal
sort
diarrhea,
it out.
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry if it's too early in the morning for that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. It's okay.
then later on they sort out their own words. Then sometimes we look to music. We look to books, paintings for inspiration.
All right.
That also helps.
Okay, so a lot of that inspiration. But how do you organize it? I mean, there are many different ways to organize the same document to hit a different type of market. Can you, let's say, just one way? Can you probably?
I'll go into ways that you can start an article, for example. You can start off with, then we're speaking about feature writing here. There are many ways to start it. You could start it with a quote. You can start it with describing this person.
Yes.
I like to do personality profiles, so if we could focus on that, I'm very big on trying to paint a picture of that person. So what was it about that person that struck you the most? That was one piece of advice that seemed very simple, and it was given to me by a veteran journalist, and I feel that it's one of those tips that are just classic and timeless. Whatever it is that struck you about a certain thing.
Yes.
Focus your writing on that. Most likely, if it struck you, that is what is going to also strike your reader. And then you can build a piece around that.
Ah, okay. You don't
Yeah.
have multiple ideas, and is that not that advisable? Have so many ideas in one article?
Not really.
Not really. So
Yeah.
it's better to focus on what really struck you.
Yeah.
And that's one
And then
tip.
you can go into related topics.
Yeah. And then you
about
can
that.
have, and if there are other ideas, you can probably write that in a different article.
Yes, in a sidebar,
Uh-huh.
what editors will call a sidebar. Important facts or interesting tidbits that may not exactly contribute to the flow of the article, but are interesting to know. So those are those little boxes that you see in magazines, and they're
that's where
separate
it
from the
comes
rest
from.
of the article. But it's separate from the rest of the article, but probably on the same page or in the same set or series of pages.
Yeah, we see that a lot, don't we?
yeah,
Yeah. I'm sometimes reduced to a sidebar.
And that's actually what you most likely will read or remember most, right?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, the sidebar. Because the sidebar usually has tips.
Yes.
Yes,
Tips,
and
stats.
yeah,
Some people
stats.
actually just read the sidebar. So the sidebars are interesting enough before that when they decide to read.
So when
the
you
whole article.
when people say you get reduced to being a sidebar, then that's not an insult.
It depends on how you look at it.
Okay, so that is one of the processes. When getting into training, I have this format that we always use. It's always there. But I figured in writing, it's only one of the formats. It's tell them what you want to tell them, then tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you've told them.
Yeah, you repeat it.
Yeah, so it's
Making the snake
usually
bite
in-
its tail. Yeah.
Is that format also used in writing?
Yes, but
More
now,
for what type of writing?
I think you could go into that for feature writing, for example, because news reporting would be more hardcore, right? The first sentence you already have to answer who, what, when, where.
Exactly.
That's
yeah, because
news
that's the-
writing.
yeah.
Okay, so you call that the lead, and you would have to necessarily answer those, and then later on you go into the meat, and then your last few sentences or last few paragraphs would be incidental details that will add to the understanding or the context of the story. But you know, it's nice to haves.
Okay.
So in case the person does not have time or a level of interest to read the entire article, they would have gotten what you wanted
Okay.
to say in
Let's-
the first few.
Let's talk about money.
Yeah, this
Ooh.
is a tough question.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
can you give us a ballpark figure how much you could potentially earn as a writer, as a freelance writer?
We always have a bit of a problem answering that question because, and I'll just give you the truth about it. You can't peg anymore how much you're going to earn each month.
So
Unlike,
there's no ceiling, really?
yeah, unlike if you were salaried. And I was an employee for a very long time, so I knew exactly how much I would get each month. Right, I knew exactly how much budget I'd have to work with. So that's one thing that you have to get used to.
Yeah.
But it's also like any other entrepreneur, right? You don't know if this month is going to be phenomenal
Yes.
or this month is going to be slow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's really directed toward, it's really related to your output and your productivity. As a benchmark, I would tell them, you know, I left the corporate world, I left my job to become a freelance full-time writer. And we've been getting by very, very well. So the past couple of months.
And you're doing what you like.
Yes, and I'm doing what I like. So you don't have the perks anymore. I don't have a staff to help me with admin things.
Yeah.
You know, you necessarily have to think about benefits that were free for medical, dental. You have to think about those things now on your own. Whereas before it was just HR would take care of all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But you have to balance that out with, okay, we're able to match what we used to make in the corporate world with what we love to do. And I see myself doing this for a very long time. So it's something that you can't exactly put a price on that. A lot of the work that the three of us do is also related to a certain advocacy. So I think that's what keeps us going
Yeah,
in
that's
terms
good,
of, yes, in terms of, okay, what are we writing about and why are we writing it?
That's important.
Yes.
Why we're writing it,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes, I think that adds a lot to the drive and the fuel,
Yeah.
really, to wake up every morning and do what you do, because there are a lot of, you know, you're not free from routine tasks. Like we were talking about transcribing earlier.
Yeah.
You're not going to be free from transcribing. You're not going to be free from double checking facts, double checking grammar. You know, you're not going to be free from those routine tasks, billing your clients or your magazines. You know, so it's very important that you are able to know why. What was all of this for? Yeah.
I mean, okay, let's say I'm a person who wants to get into writing, freelance writing. I'm not really that good at grammar, but I have I've dedicated myself to actually learning the process and everything. But I have a passion for it. So what would you advise someone like me if that were?
Join our workshop.
Oh, very good. And that's a good answer because we're gonna put back the slide. What's the workshop again? Could you
Jumpstart your freelance writing career on Feb 5 and 12. It's going to be at the Enderun extension.
So jumpstart your freelance career, and could we have the poster up again of the workshop, so that
So it's a 2-day workshop.
Yes, it's a 2-day workshop.
Yes,
so
there.
Just to go over a little bit about what we're going to be covering, we start off with a circle of friends analysis that will help train the participants to look for stories, because that's one big hurdle, right? What am I going to write about that's actually
Yes,
interesting?
exactly.
And we have found that, you know, when you look at your circle of friends, you're actually going to find a lot of people there who have interesting stories, which you can already tell. Okay, and then after that, we go into the different opportunities for writing. There's blogging, there's writing for the foreign wires, there's magazine writing, writing for online.
There's books.
There's books. There's also getting journalism grants or media fellowships. So we go into the differences between writing for those different channels. We go into the details of how to write a feature article, what makes an interesting feature article, getting over writer's block. We go into ethics also.
Yeah.
And what we're adding in this workshop are two things. First is what we call community management. A lot of companies now are using Facebook to market their products
Exactly,
and their
yeah.
brands. It's a brand building tool. And you're going to see more and more of that in the future. We were, the Philippines is like number 6 on Facebook. And we're
Only number 6.
we've been labeled the most sociable in the Asia Pacific region. You know, it just comes after the texting, right? So you're going to see more and more of companies engaging people on Facebook and treating Facebook as a micro satellite or brand
Yeah.
satellite. Now people are looking to hire other people to maintain those status updates and all of that. So we're going into that.
An opportunity.
You need a writer for that.
Oh yes, definitely.
You need to be able to understand the brand's voice, how to communicate that brand's voice into what you want to say. So that's a new venture that we're going to be talking about. Secondly, we're also going to add now getting fellowships and grants. Whenever we go
Grants,
to,
okay,
yes,
okay.
whenever I get a fellowship or I got 2 media scholarships last year, and I was so happy to see that there's so many Filipinos there, and they get grants also. It's by virtue of grants that they're able to attend these things, and we're very strong in you know the way we present ourselves. The civil society is so active in their advocacy, so that also adds to your appeal.
Okay,
Getting a
so
scholarship.
I think it's time. Well, we're at the end of the show.
Yeah,
We have to
wow.
show the tip box now. Let's show our tip box for the audience.
Wow.
This is about freelance writing, and on the next slide, you'll see a few tips on how to develop your writing skills. We already discussed this. Read a lot. Okay, so read. Okay, it will help you, believe me. Also, watch movies with correct grammar.
Yes.
And then write something every day. I mean it, every day. In a blog, in a diary, in a letter, an email. Write something every day. Commit yourself to improving your grammar. And then on the
There
yes,
it is again.
yes, my pet peeve right there. All right, so can we go to the next slide? Oh, wait, not my face. All right, there. Discover new vocabulary daily. Try to use it often. And then ask other writers for comments and suggestions. Show them your work. And of course, follow the writing process. There is a process, and you will learn that process in Anna's workshop.
Okay, yes, Writer's Block Philippines is bringing you Jumpstart Your Freelance Writing Career. It's really the flagship workshop of Writer's Block Philippines. That's on Feb 5 and 12 at the Enderun Extension.
All right. So, do you have anything else to add, Alvin?
I want to actually check out the workshop. I've been wanting to attend that.
Yes,
because
for a
my
long
schedule.
time.
On my schedule, I mean, it's a 2-day workshop.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
We'll
then
see.
we do
I want to check it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've come to the end of the show, and as we end with this, freelance writing is just one of the means, but it's a growing business right now. It's a growing business, and it's something you should really consider. Also, if your business is growing, it's something freelance writers are people you should consider hiring as well, because if you're growing your business, communication is very important. Now, so this is our show, SME Forum. I'll leave you with this. In business, it's not about perfection. It's about connection. Thanks, and I'll see you in our next episode. Bye.